Welcome to the Blackout Show, presented by The Guillen Grid, a show about the Chicago White Sox baseball, the good, the bad, the ugly. We'll debate what's working and what's not on the south side of Chicago. It's old school versus new school baseball. And most importantly, we're keeping all the receipts.
Fucking Ozzy Jr. didn't understand what dad power meant. This is the Blackout Show. I'm your boy Jay Targaryen, human resource for BGR. I got Chris Gonzalez and Ozzy Jr. He took the Junior off his real name. Now let me tell you something, OJ, because you're playing with me right now. Dad power is when you get power after you have a child. So you have no power when you don't have kids. You stop pulling out, you have a kid, now you have power. And Gonzo, what's a good representation of dad power?
Dad power is hitting fucking 4 straight games of home runs.
So does he have kids? Does Burger have kids?
He has kid. He
has one kid. I don't know. Well, by the way, so dad power,
one kid.
Well, he qualifies. Well, he looks like a dad, even if he didn't have any kids. I don't have any dad power. I might look like Jake Burger when I'm walking the streets, but I'm a fat guy with no power. I'm a fat guy that hits like Romy Gonzalez.
Wow.
I just don't have any pop. Never had pop. Didn't have pop when I played in Little League. Didn't have pop in high school. Didn't have pop in college. Don't have pop now. I just don't have pop, especially not pop like Jake Burger. I went on a limb today, and when we were talking Jake Burger, again, that's when I asked what this dad power was. It was like, by the way, a great nickname for him. He's on pace right now with 5 home runs, and he's hitting them at a rate. Remember, he did not break camp with the big league team. That he might be either the leader of the White Sox in home runs or in the mix of leaders in the White Sox in home run. Is this a bad thing or a good thing at the end of the season that if Jake Burger becomes the White Sox top home run hitter with 25 plus home runs, does that mean that something good happened for the White Sox? That means that everyone is just so bad that Jake Burger now has become the offensive threat of the team.
Wow. Well, I'm here to say that Jason Spencer, we don't care about your opinion on the blackout. Yohan Moncada is still the best third baseman.
Well, by the way, there's a difference. Hold on. There's a difference between being a third baseman and being a power hitter. Mm-hmm. And Jake right now is doing a really good job of maintaining his average, his walks. Everything's kind of fizzing out. He is hot. He has gone deep. What was it? 4 days in a row. By the way, shout out to Slav for the pick of the century with that pick, because we all laughed at him. I laughed at him. I said, why are you going to pick a guy that's not even – I don't even know when he was going to be in the lineup, because today he doesn't have a position. And they're in a situation where I don't think the White Sox believe that Burger was going to end up potentially being this good, because they never made a plan for him in any of the positions. He's just like a guy.
They signed Alberto just to keep him off the roster.
He wasn't on the roster. He was not breaking camp, and we discussed that in our first preseason show. I like Burger. I think that Burger's issue has been injuries, because I think Burger's one of those guys that he might not be an elite defender, but if he's always hit enough in other levels of his playing, that they'll find a position for him. Mm-hmm. And that's something that when you hit that well, the John Kruk's of the world, the Alejandro Kirk's of the world with Toronto, where he has a C for fantasy teams, yet never catches, but he hits enough that he produces. So he is a very interesting player that if he does stay healthy, and again, when he has been injured, it has always been a legit injury. Achilles, broken hand. It's never been because his back hurts or I have tired legs. It's always been something like a legit injury. And when I mean legit, something's broken, like surgery, you're out for multiple months. He's never out for nagging injuries. The word grinder, I think that he is. And you know what I like about him? He doesn't tell people that he's a grinder. He just goes out there and does his job. And Andrew Vaughn's the same way. He's not out there saying I'm a grinder. He doesn't make phases like I'm a tough guy. He just goes and does his job. No, he does. By the way, you look like Giolito right now.
Yeah,
that was Giolito tonight. I hope that his faces are that positive.
95 down the pipe, and people were getting blown away.
He pitched great. We can get that on one of the other sites, but he pitched great. Again, I hope that emotional roller coaster that his Giolito gets fixed together. I like guys like Berger. They go and do their job. Andrew Vaughn is in that same mix. Benintendi, we've seen he's that type of same player. It's a good balance to the emotional Moncada, TAs, Eloy. You need balance. Okay, so I like that they have now that balance. Before, there was a lot of guys, you can't have too much emotions on your team because that's good when it's going good, but when it's going bad, it can get really, really dramatic.
Yeah, and before we leave off Jake Berger, Gonzo, I want to get your opinion on this. I think this is the perfect scenario for Jake to get his at-bats because if you look at, we have a hole at DH. The third base production is inconsistent. Our guy Moncada is on the shelf right now. First base, you're going to get Vaughn there majority of the time, but what happens when Vaughn has sore legs or he needs a backiotomy? You're going to put Jake Berger there. Do you think it's a gift and a curse with this White Sox roster, Gonzo, that we're hurt enough to where we don't reach our full potential, but we still get guys like Jake Berger at bats? And you see what he's doing with it, making the most of it.
So you had your mean Mercedes in 2021 when our core got injured go off.
Yep.
And now this is Jake going off right now. So to answer Ozzy's question, if he leads the club in power, that's not an issue at all because with the injuries to our offense right now, you're going to be lacking power. So you need someone to step up. And if that's Jake, great. I mean, that kid is a success story considering him being a first-round draft pick, gets injured, and battles his way. That's a true grinder right there. Yeah. And I think I was the only one that wanted him to make the 26 in front of Sheets from the four of us.
You were.
When we were projecting that 26 before it was released. And the fact that Jake is going off, and don't get me wrong, Sheets is batting 300 and has more walks than strikeouts. So now you do have, to the question that we put in the chat with, is this sustainable for the roster success? That's really the better question because what are you going to do once Timmy comes back and you have to start reconfiguring? You're going to probably drop Alberto, who you just gave a contract to. You're going to DFA another guy, but listen, this is what you need to do. I mean, I don't care what you have to do at this point. You need to play your best 26, and I don't care if you put Berger at second base or you put him in the corner of the outfield because you did it with Vaughn and Sheets at this point. So as long as he's in the lineup, I don't care if he's at second base or left or right field because I want that bat in the lineup. It's going to suck defensively, don't get me wrong, and I value defense, so it sucks for me to say that, but I really want Berger on this 26.
Gonzo,
yeah,
you make complete sense. Okay, this is the thing. What? I'm gonna be hold on. We've been all going nuts about Eloy has to be the DH, okay, because his injury question mark situation. The only time that Eloy has gotten hurt in the outfield is when he tried to I don't know what he was doing and climbed the outfield wall and got his arm hurt. He's never been injured like on an outfield play like Vaughn that he dove and like got hurt. He's never gotten hurt like on a play playing the outfield. So unless Eloy Jimenez is going to have someone run for him the bases and basically just walk for him in life, he's always going to be injury prone. So why not just let him play right field and see how many games he can give you and let Jake be in the lineup and potentially have Jake and Sheets and Vaughn and Eloy just so that you don't have to cater to Eloy being the DH. I think that we're so caught up with like Eloy has to be the DH that you're literally keeping a guy out of the lineup that is going to be that much better. And Eloy is not the greatest outfielder, but he is better than Vaughn. He is better than Sheets, and he is better than Berger. Two guys out of those are playing out of position. So I don't know why we're like, we need to have Eloy as the DH, when in reality, he doesn't have to be it. Just the opposite. If Eloy is not the DH and Berger wasn't playing well, you can hit Grandal in the DH and have Sebi catch. So I think that this Eloy being the DH is putting kind of like a blocker on Grifol's lineup, and it's not really a necessity. He could still be playing the outfield.
Yeah. It's not a really big gap between Eloy and the outfield talent. I mean, look at Oscar Colas in right field. Yeah, he has a strong arm, but he has a slow first step, and he's not reading the ball well off the bat. At least Eloy gets good jumps on baseballs from what I've seen in the outfield.
When they got signed, they weren't looking at their gloves. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it looks like Colas has hit that rookie wall finally. So you're going to have to probably give him a couple days off here to get refocused and more time for Berger to get his at-bats and keep that fresh platoon until you can get the rookie back on his feet again. So,
I also like Berger versus righty lefties more than I like Sheets versus lefties. I think Berger does better against both sides of the plate.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. He mashes both.
That's what I'm saying. I think that he gives you. I'm not going to say because he's not going to always hit this way, but I think he gives you better at bats than Sheets does against lefties. I think that part tilts more to Berger in the at bat situation. I think he handles the bat better against both sides of the pitching better than most other guys in the roster.
Mm-hmm. And one thing that surprised me this year about Jake is he's hitting the ball with authority to right field. Like the Orioles series, he hit a ball to Santander. Santander made a fucking outstanding catch on a line drive. The very next day, he hit that same ball over the right field fence. Both of them had an exit velocity of over like 107 miles per hour. I thought Jake Berger was just going to be pull power, but now he's starting to shoot the ball all over the damn ballpark.
Well, let's be honest. He's playing for his future, not just the White Sox. If I'm a team out there, Cubs with the DH, the Baltimore Orioles, Tampa, anyone that could fit a guy, Anaheim, that could fit a guy in to hit an offensive guy, and you might be able to flip somebody. Boston, and you can fit a guy like this. They might be sending a message to the White Sox saying, "Hey, what do you need?" And obviously, when you look at that bullpen, the White Sox will, they might trade you for another arm potentially, depending on how. I'm just being serious, or even the future, another backup. You have you might trade for a guy that potentially could be a fifth starter, in the future. You have if he plays well, okay, and that's what he is the owner of his own destiny. If he plays well, the White Sox are going to have to play him, and if it's not with the White Sox will be forced to move him to go to a team that offers the best for him. That's because when people are like, "Well, trade Sheets," well, he didn't play well enough to get traded. But if Berger puts up the numbers, he's going to be in the Sox lineup, or he'll get himself traded.
Yeah, and you know what? Let's head to the guy who's responsible for putting Jake Berger in the lineup. Guys,
Rick Hahn.
Grifol's ground.
I don't have a problem making decisions. I don't have a problem making a call on a pitcher. I don't have a problem making a call on whatever our team needs at this particular moment.
I thought it was just Rick Hahn's segment because you said who makes the lineup.
Yeah,
you confused me there. It was just confusing.
Yeah, well, that's his job to make the lineup.
Daniel's wait, Rick Hahn's job to make the lineup? Yes, we know that.
No.
By the way, Rick makes the lineup. Daniel makes the lineup. Fabian makes the lineup. Haber makes the lineup. Grifol at the end puts his name on it. He ain't making that lineup alone. Trust me.
Let's get to the guy that signs the lineup card.
Okay, I'm just saying though. You know what though? There's some days I'm like it's definitely his lineup. Other days I'm like I don't know, but time will tell.
Yeah. What you got
Folks,
for me, Gonzo?
This is Grifol's grounds. And what we just saw tonight, game 2 of the doubleheader, Lucas Giolito steps up on the mound when the Sox need it most and goes 6 innings, no hits, and he was just rolling. We'll get to him in a little bit here in Stone Pony Tweets, but let's get to him after the fact here because Pedro does what he loves best to bring in his unfortunate lefties, and Jimmy Lambert got me sweating with that double to Marsh. I thought, oh boy, Ozzie Jr. put money on the Phillies on the money line because I thought they were about to blow it again.
You thought the kibosh was on?
I thought the kibosh was on, Jay. And
oh, I bet it.
Lambert.
You definitely
Lambert
know I bet
did good.
I bet it.
And that's why he's salty right now. But Jimmy Lambert got through that first inning, and then the second inning, Pedro left him out there, right? I was kind of hoping that he would bring someone else fresh in for a fresh inning, personally. But then, he brings in, like I said, he brings in Bummer with that double, and then they got out of it. And then he brings in Lopez with 2 outs in the 8th to get the last 4 outs. So altogether, I'd say it was more successful out of the other starts of the week because in that first game doubleheader, he did the exact same thing with bringing in, Diekman. So I would say in this doubleheader today, that first game was kind of rough for the offense. There wasn't anything in particular I'd blame Pedro on for these 2 games because that first game, the offense just put 4 on the board right off the bat and did nothing. And then the boys wrapped it up in the second game of the doubleheader. But what did you guys feel?
Lynn. That's on Lynn, by the way. Game 1 is on Lynn and CB Buckner. CB Buckner, my guy. I don't get on umpires. He missed that call. That call was, and again, the game could have changed at any given moment, but I think he missed that call. Might have been a little different turnout towards the end. Then you get Harrison. He hits the home run. I think that from a Grifol standpoint, the move worked for him in the game 2, so you can't critique it. Again, it's a move that you're like, hey, why don't you go in with a fresh guy? To his defense, man, he's tried so many different things in the bullpen that nothing's been working. That he's probably being like, at this point, let me try something different. But this allowed him. The Giolito allowed him to do that, and also the fact that he rode Lynn and didn't go too early to the pen. The pen was fresh for game 2. So you got to give him credit for that in the sense that he stuck with Giolito, and then that Giolito, put up the innings. That's what you do as a pitcher in a doubleheader, as a starter. You say, hey, you got to grind it out either by your team by pitching well, not letting them score, or you got to eat the innings because, again, your bullpen is going to get exposed. The only part about Grifol, and I shared to you guys a picture that I created, is Grifol made a statement saying we are going to kick your ass every single day. It just doesn't happen 2 nights in a row. And I don't know if that part's missing. I hope that at some point, so tomorrow's going to be a big day because he hasn't kicked anyone's ass 2 days in a row.
We've got our ass kicked 2 days in a row.
I'm just saying, though, it's like it was, as a manager, you go in a doubleheader and you're facing a really good team. They're the defending National League champions. They've been struggling, but they're still the defending National League champions. You come out first inning, the team's up 3-0, and then it's a battle, and you kind of lose it there from an umpire call. So as an emotional as a position is, you're kind of devastated. You're like, this is horrible. So for the fact that the team came out game 2 and played pretty good baseball, Berger go home run, Giolito pitched probably the best game he has in a long, long time. It puts you in a situation of like, okay, I want to see what tomorrow comes, and if they can take advantage of that and build on that. If you win 2 in a row, it's called a winning streak. That's what they need to be able to compile, because you see flashes of greatness from the team and from Grifol that I want to see them do it like back-to-back nights. Like one night I see him doing a great job, and you're like, wow, this. And again, that's a lot of first-year managers. You see him like, whoa, that he did a really good job today, and the next day you're like, ooh, I don't know. That's kind of you're doubtful on that one. So I think that he knows that he needs to get over that hump. Ever since they put him in that little stupid cart for the one victory, they jinxed him. He hasn't been able to win after that, like 2 games in a row. Hasn't won 2 games in a row since spring training, which again, to him, it's got to bother him to haven't won a series. So tomorrow's going to be a big deal in that sense of how he comes out with the lineup. But I think that the way that he handled it today, it could have been a lot worse. And they split. That's what you want to do with a doubleheader. Obviously, you want to sweep, but it's a very Phillies. But I think that I like the lineup construction. He's taking a shot at hitting Sheets third. I give him credit, man. I think that one thing that people used to make fun of Tony, and they used to make fun of Tony's lineups, and Tony played Larry, and now they're doing it with Hanser. And you have a 26-man roster. You have to play guys. So, like Gonzo just said, if we see Berger in right field, he's in right field. Like if guys are hurt, okay, and guys are injured, Grifol's not a trainer or a doctor. He gets a report. So Grifol can get red in the face, call everybody out, but he can't make you play. So he's going to put in the lineup who is healthy and who is playing. He's going to figure it out. So you can't hate the guy for what he's throwing out there when that's the lineup that you're given. And that sucks, but it is what it is. His shortstop, who's the best hitter on this team, is hurt. Moncada, who's potentially the best third baseman defensively on this team, is hurt. So now you're putting people there that potentially shouldn't be getting that many at bats. So I think to this point, I don't blame anything on him. There's a couple moves here and there, but for him, I just want to see improvement. If he's doing these bad moves like 4 years in, like Rick Renteria did, then I'll judge him. But first year manager, and he's been able to handle, he hasn't blown up. He didn't take out Jolito in the 4th inning because he was in trouble with a runner on second or some, horrible move like that. So I think that this week, the team didn't play well, but I don't think it was because of Grifol.
Yeah. I want to talk about game 1 for a second. I got to give Grifol and Lynn credit because Lance Lynn could have gave up 10 runs today. Grifol could have pulled them in the 3rd inning. And neither which those happened. Sometimes you got to let nature take its course. I was watching the game last night between Houston and the Jays, and fucking Kevin Gausman got his shit wrecked early and often. Gausman gave up 7 runs the 1st inning. He still pitched 5. So when you get these veteran starters, you have to give them a chance to at least compete. I don't want to pull Lance Lynn like he's 24 years old and he just doesn't have it. Give him a chance to at least fight back. Grifol did that. Now I will critique the fact that me and Gonzo was talking about it off air, leaving Jimmy Lambert in for the 2nd frame. That can't happen. You got a full rested bullpen. We just got snowed in with 2.5 inches of snow yesterday. Go to the arm. Why couldn't Graveman come in and just fucking extinguish that right then and there? You're pitching Jake Diekman every day like he's your fucking stepson or something. I'm gonna do an internal investigation on why Jake Diekman has to pitch every game. But other than that, I really can't complain. I'm along with you, OJ. Like, the roster's hurt. He's kind of handcuffed. Some guys can only play 1.5 positions. I don't really complain about the lineup. It seems like he wants a lefty bat hitting 3rd. Most of the time he's going with Benintendi and Sheets, and I'm okay with that. I mean, it gives it a little bit of balance, make sure the lineup ain't top heavy. But I just don't like the fact that you're forcing Jake Diekman to pitch 106. He's on pace to pitch.
How much is Katz though?
Games.
Here's the thing though. He's learning the staff. So how it usually works is you tell your man, you look at your pitching coach and he's warming up somebody up. And then you look down there and says, I got a righty and a lefty. That's how the good pitching coaches do it. And that's the part where fans, especially the upper deck experts in the analytics guys, you could be a great coach, okay, and be in the lab and work with guys on rotation and placement and develop them. And usually a guy that's like a minor league director in pitching is that guy, okay? He leads all the minor leagues in like our philosophy. And there's a big difference when you're in the game and you have to go to the mound, okay, and get guys and say, hey, how do you feel? Who am I going with? And kind of like that bullpen management. That's where I think Katz kind of gets dinged a lot. And I don't know if that's, again, you have Katz who's like not the most advanced in that situation. You got, Pedro, who's a first-year manager. I don't know what Charlie's telling him. So when those situations, like let's say Grifol isn't, you always have like a de facto name in your head of like, you always try to go to that guy, okay? Mm-hmm. That's when your bench coach is like, hey, don't go to Diekman. Why? Diekman's been, we've taken Diekman out 4 days in a row, or Diekman's not available. That's pitching coach, that's bench coach to remind the manager of what's going on. So that's on a staff when little things like that happen. Again, he'll never throw anybody under the bus, but those are things that you want to see how the staff is working with him. And again, a lot of these guys are, Katz is not a Pedro guy. Pedro did not bring him. So we'll see how that develops throughout the year on like bullpen management, of guys being ready and guys being ready to go. Again, you don't know that. The Ronaldo Lopez 4-inning strategy has worked very well for him. The 4-batter, inning and a third.
It was outstanding.
He's been doing it for a while, though. He's been using it. A lot of people try to stay away from that they used to do it with Liam because that's what Liam does. He's been doing it for his whole career, but they've been doing it very well with Ronaldo. So on that note, I think that it's easier. And again, we're seeing the same problems that we saw again that Tony kind of dealt with. So we know that sometimes it might be the roster. It's not just specifically Grifol's fault. And again, you just want the numbers, and this is where I laugh about the analytics. They're an analytical team, but yet you start an inning with the guy that pitched the inning before. Start fresh. There's no analytics to how you manipulate it. It tells you that there's better numbers than a guy repeating. Those numbers don't make sense. So that's where I laugh about, like, okay, is this move analytical that you're doing, or are you just pretending that it is? Because that's not a very analytical move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'd like to go back to this Baltimore series and we're going to touch more on the bullpen in a bit here, but on Sunday, you leave Cease in basically because you have to. You can't really trust your bullpen. You got to let him keep in flow and finish off that 6th frame, even if he does get to 113 pitches. But I give kudos to Pedro for leaving him in, let him get through it. But then you go, after leaving him in, the first guy you go to is Bummer in a 1-run game. So unfortunately, the rest is history. But Friday, Grifol also went to Diekman right after Clevenger's performance. So we're going to get to this, but I feel like he's definitely feeling out his pen, and he's going to know who he's going to go to in these situations. But I just feel like right now in the 1-run lead, I'm not going to go to any of those lefties, even if the analytics tells me to, because I really like what I'm seeing out of Santos and Middleton and their role, and their roles as middle relief.
I just want to say the White Sox might have found something in Kenyon Middleton. He giving me really good Cody Hoyer vibes. You remember when Cody Hoyer first got on the scene, and that's what I see. That's what I see out of Kenyon Middleton right now.
What was the record when Katie Hoyer was in the White Sox?
Might be a light-skinned legend. Stay tuned.
By the way, what was the White Sox record when Hoyer was on the?
We was 1 million games above 500.
Were you?
Yeah, we were.
What year was that?
21. Or was it 20? Was it 20?
Oh, it was
20.
It was COVID year.
Yeah, it was 20.
So he was great for 60 games.
That doesn't matter. So was
that's what I thought. We don't talk about 60-game seasons, man.
Yeah, whatever.
Burger would get an MVP. Let's just say
he's on his way now.
That's what I'm saying. If we did 60-game seasons, he probably would.
You're not gonna do that. Kenyon Middleton, Gregory Santos, nails. So far,
I think that he's going to. In the Baltimore series, I think that they might have underestimated Baltimore's firepower when they came into town. So, because I think they're a very good team. I think a lot of people don't take them seriously because they're like they're not the top team in the East, but they're a very, very good team and a team that is going to play one. And here's the part, man. Grifol's going to get judged. I think when there's ever a 3-run game, especially with leads and you have to protect them, that's when managers get exposed. And that's something that you have to eventually kind of deal with and see how many 1-run games you won and how many 3-run leads that you save. That's how he's going to get judged.
Yeah.
But like that's how it needs to be done though, because you saw a Hall of Fame manager really early in the season put guys into those situations with those opportunities to test them to see if they grab the opportunity and take it so he can trust them later in the year.
Yeah, Ronaldo Lopez. Yeah, that's Tony's guy. Tony made Ronaldo Lopez. That's his guy.
Yeah.
Thank you. But no one's gonna give him credit. He put Ronaldo Lopez was in the garbage, thrown away. And Tony walked in the clubhouse and found this guy in the garbage can and basically said, I'll make you better again. And with Katz's help, they found a place for him in the bullpen that made him successful because nobody else could have figured out before. They trying to start him and he was kind of bouncing around and you really know. And Tony was like, you're the bullpen guy and you're going to be in this situation. So you got to give him credit for that. Again, I think that Crochet comes back. If you give Crochet these opportunities, he ain't going to be passing them along. I'll tell you that much. Yeah. Like if you give him it's said to this, like if you're, whenever you need to close games, you have to be ready because that means that your career can change or you become a high leverage guy. that means that when you are called upon to do the job, you do it, and then they keep calling you, and that's how you make millions of dollars. But when they call on you and you shit the bed, you're never going to be a high leverage guy. So I think that right now they're testing guys out, and I'm going to be honest, man. And this is how I'm going to end it with Grifol. He's going nowhere. Okay, he is going nowhere. If I was the owner, and people are going to be like, and this season goes wrong, Pedro Grifol is the last person that I'm thinking about firing. I'm firing everyone upstairs before I fire Pedro Grifol. And I think any general manager comes in will work with Pedro Grifol, and Grifol will make it work. But Grifol will be here for the Birmingham project, the agile rebuild, the extended window, whatever they want to call it.
The Great Reset.
The Great Reset. There you go. Brooks Boyer's going to call you. No, I'm being serious. I think that you have a guy and a manager where he communicates well. You kind of have everything. He's up and coming himself. You have a fresh pitching coach, a fresh manager, that if you have to go to the Great Reset, he's the guy. You don't look for anybody. Here's the difference. People talk about the Ozzie Guillen and Grifol. Maybe the front office is thinking this because they were the last two candidates, according to everybody. Do you think Ozzie would have sat through a Great Reset and not said, "Yeah, we're gonna have a Great Reset. We're losing 100 games." Like he would have been way too honest. And if you can go a Great Reset, and again, it's not a rebuild, but you can retool. And we're seeing it right now with Minnesota. They suck. They made a couple of trades. They're in first place. We love imitating what other teams do. So, you kind of move the manager. They've done it. Other teams have done it. You kind of start something fresh. So I could see this team moving some pieces and bringing a team that's more Grifolish like.
Grifolish.
I'm just saying though, like, do you? I don't think Moncada's a Grifol type of player. I'll give it to you like right there. I don't think Grifol looks at Moncada as like, that's my guy. He can tell the paper that's his guy. I don't think Grifol looks at Eloy and say, that's my guy. He can say it on that. But when he sees him not playing and getting hurt, Grifol's like, dude, Grifol's a grinder. Grifol's like a backup catcher, a guy that grinded his way through, never made it to the big leagues. He's a guy that wakes up in the morning, reads the Bible probably, does like push-ups. You can tell the guy is a very straightforward, not your typical big league guy that made it on pure talent and that gets the game. This guy has earned everything that has been given to him. So guys that don't work hard, he looks down upon them. He doesn't tell you he looks down upon you because that's not part of his job. But when he's around with his friends and he's having a couple beers, he's like, I'm looking down on this guy. Your work ethic is not what I think it should be, because he's used all of his talents to get him where he was. He wasn't a great, baseball player, this great baseball mind. He wasn't a guy that they got in the minor leagues and said, I'll put it this way. He's not Rick Hahn. He's not Chris Getz, where somebody gave him a job and said, this guy's a genius. This guy's this. The guy, you look at his work, like look at his biography, man. Like literally that guy put the work in, all in the front office, never got a GM shot. Then put in all the work in the minor leagues. Guy was like bullpen catcher and then this and then that, team translator, like just grinding it out all the way to becoming a big league manager. So I don't think he doesn't take work ethic as like, if you don't work hard, I think he's looking down on you. I really do.
Oh, yeah. And why do you think it's easy for him to stuff Jake Berger in the lineup? Because
that's what I mean. Like, I think he likes that
blue-collar guy.
And I'll tell you this much. If you're a manager, it gets to the point that if you are going to win or lose, and especially if it keeps losing, you're going to say, you know what? I'm going to lose with the guys that I want to go to battle with. I'm not losing with the guys that are taking this for granted. And that's where I think if they're having conversations, guys that don't fit the Grifol mold are gone. It happened before. It happened in 2004. 2004, Ozzie had great players. Carlos Lee, Valentin, awesome guys, amazing guys that we're still friends with, but they weren't very, Ozzie-like. Ozzie-like guys that, ran through walls and, were okay with bunting in the second inning and, playing as a team. Ozzie loved that. He hated selfish players because he was that type of player. So I think when people compare Ozzie and Grifol and the fact that they both speak Spanish, I think Grifol's that type of player. He likes guys that kind of work for their, kind of grind it. Like Benintendi's on his team. He brought Andrew Benintendi. How many managers would have been like, I want to bring this guy in?
I want Andrew Benintendi.
But I'm just saying though. But I'm saying though, it's a traditional solid baseball. If Pedro Grifol is here 3 years ago, Sean Murphy is a White Sox catcher, or James McCann is like on this roster. Like, he wants to build a good team. I don't think he cares about superstars. I think he wants to build the best team possible for him to win. I don't think he cares about superstars. I really don't.
In my honest opinion, if I was to say what players do you think are Grifol's guys? Tim Anderson, Andrew Vaughn, and Jake Berger. I would say those three.
I think Tim Anderson's everybody's guy. I think other than Tim just being very boisterous and saying like really random stuff and kind of getting kicked out of, he does his job.
Yeah.
When he's not hurt, he plays. He has mental lapses. Which player doesn't? But he's improved. If you look at TA when he got to the White Sox to where he is at now,
I like
the guy. He's done his job. The TA conversation is completely different because the White Sox need to decide: are we paying for TA or are we not?
You pay for TA.
At this point, again, if you're going to build this team and you're not going to build it around a guy that's going to hit 50 home runs, then you have to build it again around guys where I think TA is a guy that could be part of the mix. How you build for the future. I really do.
I want Tim Anderson to retire in a White Sox jersey.
Well, that's never going to happen. The fact that you said I want a guy to retire in a White Sox jersey, that's Cal Ripken doesn't play for the White Sox. You're not the ball. Like you're not the Yankee. Like that's not going to happen.
So just take a shit on my dreams. All right. You know what?
I'm just saying it hasn't happened. It happened since PK. I'm just saying it's not something that I would.
And then you bring up Konerko.
Okay. I just think that TA might want to play for longer. I just really think that he brings. I think number one, he's very undervalued. I think that number one, he is the guy on the White Sox, other than Dylan DeCease, that has the most value in the White Sox. I think.
Okay.
Gonzo, do you agree with that? That TA has the most value in the market?
Yeah, at this moment.
At this moment today, he has more value than Eloy. He has more value than all those guys.
I agree.
I just
Plus,
think
his contract is amazing.
Not that I don't like TA. I just think at the age of 29, going to that second contract, I'd probably base myself on someone else going forward than TA.
Gonzo don't like pain.
Oh, hold on, wait, Gonzo. Let me ask you something. I'm 30 years old. I'll be 31 in December.
You're burned out.
If my contract was up for the Blackout Show? Would you talk to him and get me re-signed?
What are our options?
I don't think you're going to get him. You're not going to get him to a short-term deal with the contract he was first given. So
he's not doing a team-friendly deal. He's getting
and
paid.
you're seeing all these shortstops getting 7 to 7+ years of money deals. And
look at what Dansby got.
Yeah,
you know where TA. You know where TA is going to get traded, and it could happen. But even though they signed Arcia, but he just got hurt. Atlanta Braves.
You're the second person that said that.
I'm just saying, though, I look at the team. My cousin's a backup shortstop. I look at that team, and I'm like, ooh, he fits that team very well. That mold, again, he can go to the Dodgers and be the everyday shortstop. But I think the Braves, the Dodgers are teams that when you bring someone of Tim Anderson's caliber, we saw him on Team USA. The guy's playing around like.
So what would the Sox get back?
Well, here's the part. You call Greg Lumhow and you hire him for 3 weeks and say, can you please make this trade for me? Because I don't trust the guys that are going to make that trade, that they're going to get value in return for TA. The worry for the White Sox is not where TA is going to go. It's about who's going to decide what they get in return for TA. Yeah. Because that's where the tricky part happens of the Moncada. Yeah, Moncada was good, but the other guy on the table was Rafael Devers. So were the Red Sox like, oh, they really got us, or were they like, ha ha ha?
I think they were like, ha ha ha.
That's what I mean. So like the Cease situation, when the Sox asked him and said it's either Cease or no one, and the Cubs took the bite, that was a good trade because they had other options. They could have brought Schwarber and then had to re-sign him, but they got Eloy. Good trade. So I think that if you decide what that cannot happen with the White Sox, and I'm not talking just about TA, a Jose Abreu situation can happen. I'm not talking about bringing him back. If you're in the front office, you have a lineup made for the next 5 years, okay, of like what your future looks like. When Montgomery's going to come up, when Soso's going to come up, you make moves so that you're not left with a guy and lose him to free agency just because you're not going to re-sign him. You can't let that happen. You bring back a box of baseballs. You have to at that point. Like Trey Mancini's trade to Houston was Abreu.
Yep, opening up that slot for your next first baseman. OJ, Gonzo, this conversation about trading TA has been absolutely fucking depressing. It's been the worst conversation I had all year. We're gonna move on to Stone Pony's tweets before you make me fucking cry on this podcast. Goodbye. Now, one of the White Sox Twitter elites, my co-host for the Bad Guy Radio, Kent W.O., he said he was upset at Grifol for pulling, not Kopech, but Giolito. How many pitches was he at, Gonzo, when he got pulled?
Oh,
I think
Jesus.
like 113?
You said Cease or Gio?
Giolito.
Giolito. Let me pull it up here. He was at 102 pitches.
Yeah, so Ken was upset that he got yanked at 102 pitches through 6. He wanted him to throw 140 like Edwin Jackson did against Tampa, where I think Edwin Jackson threw like 214 pitches through 9 innings for a no-hitter. What do you guys think? You think you should have let Gio ride it out?
Overrated. No hitters are overrated. And White Sox fans, no hitters are overrated.
What?
No hitters are overrated. Unless it's a perfect game, no hitters are overrated. You might get extra money for signing. White Sox fans are obsessed with personal gifts, personal records. It's overrated. Pedro Grifol is here to manage a whole season, not to make White Sox fans on Twitter and in the stands happy and give Giolito. TA would have been agree with me.
Yeah.
Overrated.
Fuck
And here's the thing. Every time there's a no-hitter, by the way, Mark Burley's perfect game. What happens to the season after that? Philip Humber. What happened to the season after that?
Come on, bro. First of all,
look at the history.
First of all, Brendan Ryan didn't swing in Philip Humber's
Wait,
perfect
hold
game.
up. Carlos Rodon went like this after.
No, I'm not talking
hitter.
about the pitcher. I'm talking about the season.
Yeah, and his next season, he hit with the Giants.
The team
Hey,
that year.
Yeah.
The team. I'm not if it happens, it happens. I don't think that Ozzie got critiqued because he made a defensive change in the Burley perfect game. Okay. Because he was trying to win a game. He wasn't managing like, oh, I'm managing a perfect game. Grifol's managing the game. He's not there for Giolito's like trying to get Giolito a record or like you're gonna and lose the game. This guy hasn't, by the way, he promised to kick people's asses and he hasn't done it back-to-back nights. The last thing he's thinking about is Giolito's feelings about a no-hitter. He wants to get the win.
You know who used to kick ass, OJ? These guys.
Actually, they look cool, but they didn't really kick ass. By the way, Hawk put Carlton Fisk to play left field, so that was
Carlton Fisk is a really good athlete, apparently.
According to him.
Apparently.
So bring Ozzie back. No, I'm not ready to bring back. You know what? I'm gonna bring Ozzie back where? No, man. My dad would be super miserable right now. He would be angry. He would not be sleeping.
No TA.
He would be calling people out. Post-game press conferences would not be good. My mom and him, he would be very miserable. He'd probably be vodka himself to sleep every night. The fact that he has not won back-to-back games and it's April 20th, it would not be good for Ozzie.
Junior, I think Giolito's a contrarian to your trend because didn't he throw the no-hitter in the COVID year and then they won the division the next year?
By the way, can we not talk about anything COVID?
Why? You can't.
It's a 60-game season. Giolito could have thrown 700 pitches. There was only 60 games. He was going to have 5 starts.
No, not.
Rick Renteria could have been like, throw that guy out. Guys, it's April. Okay.
All right. Hold up. I want him to keep pitching until he gives up that hit, and I don't.
And by the way, that's a situation. And again, I get you, Gonzo. But here's the thing, and we've talked about this in the last show. If Giolito's pulled out too early, okay, he complains about being pulled out too early, and the fans complain about out too early. But if they leave him too long, okay, it's leaving too long. If Giolito loses today's game, okay, he puts somebody on and they go and take his ass deep as the first hit of the game is Giolito walks 2 guys and they take his ass deep, we would all be here saying Grifol's an idiot. Why would he leave him in? Da-da-da-da-da. He's trying to win the game. And it wasn't a 10-0 game. Let's see what happens. It was a pretty close game. So I don't critique him at all. I really don't, because it was a close game. He needed that victory. And Giolito is not trustworthy. He has not earned the let's throw him out there until he gives up that hit, because that hit could have been a home run and the game could have gone ugly. And that was just my take. And by the way, no hitters are overrated.
No.
But he brought in Graveman. So, like, that was solid, bring him in that situation for that next pitcher, but I would still bring in Graveman after the fact you give up that first hit.
Yeah, and then Graveman walks the next guy, and then yak! Home run, tie game. Grifol, you're an idiot. Again, that's just me.
That's baseball.
Think no-hitters are overrated. I really do.
I was heartbroken when Cease gave up that hit
against Minnesota.
And by the way, my best friend, Freddie Garcia had a battle with Joan Santana, had a no-hitter going through the 8th inning. And he told Ozzy, I don't want to come on until I give up the hit. And he lost the game, had a great game. I think he gave up 1 or 2 hits. And again, pitchers chase it. I think when you're a good pitcher, Cease is always going to flirt with it. Nolan Ryan threw 7, but he had took 20 games to the 8th inning with 1 hit. If you're good, that's going to happen. And Giolito will eventually get his. I don't critique it because of how close the game was, the situation the team is in at right now. For Giolito, dude, imagine this. Giolito goes out there and he throws him out for 140 pitches. By the way, Edwin Jackson was in a wheelchair. That's my boy, great dude. He was in a wheelchair when that happened, that he threw 140 pitches, meaning he didn't care. Let's say Giolito goes out there and throws 170 pitches, 160 pitches, old school style. And then he gets hurt in June in his free agent year. It happened to Jack McDowell. Jack McDowell cut his career short because he was throwing complete games. The White Sox winning 12-2, and he's going out there throwing complete games, 200 pitches. His arm was shot. So I think from a strategy standpoint, again, people love analytics. Going 170 pitches, 160 pitches, it's not healthy for anybody. That's been proven. If not, they would go back to that style of the way that it was. So I don't disagree with it. Again, I know people love no-hitters, and they would have had a no-hitter giveaway day, and Giolito would have probably made a little bit more money signing in his autograph because he would have put no-hitter and then the year. And then for the White Sox, who don't have championships and celebrate individual accomplishments like they do home runs in the Ivy or whatever in cornfields, and do all those types of celebrations, individual ones, they would care a lot about that. But in championship teams, you don't care about that. You care about wins.
Wow.
I still would allow him to keep going. And
because Gonzo wanted a no-hitter. He wanted to be here on the show talking no-hitter and being like, oh my God, I got a no-hitter. It's, again, I broadcast a no-hitter. It's awesome to see one live. But again, I understand why he did it.
This is fucking
no, I understand why he did it. I just want to see it. I want to see Gio.
As a fan, of course you want to see it. Of course. I
also
want to see him throw 200 pitches. I would have wanted to see that more than a no-hitter. See if he could have done it.
I mean, my personal agenda is to watch him burn out so that Davis Martin can take his spot.
That's actually worse than anything Ozzie Jr. just said tonight.
By the way, why do you hate on Davis Martin? Davis Martin has been a savior. By the way, he has been a savior of the fact that
I didn't say I hate him.
Mike Clevenger has been a savior.
I want Martin to take Davis, or I want Martin to take Gio's spot because I felt like
talking about making moves that are smart. Okay, if you're in a situation where you're 4 or 5 games out of first place before the trade deadline, let's say you're in it but not really. Okay, you're just in it. Delusional fans are in it. You don't move Giolito and just give Davis a shot at pitching and move Giolito for pieces.
I will.
That's what I'm saying, though. So,
this is why you're building up his confidence, so you can.
A no-hitter would have raised that.
Would you sign Giolito back?
No.
At you didn't sign Rondon back.
I know.
And Rondon.
Well, hold up. You offered really him. You gave him quite the offer this past offseason.
Oh no, I'm talking about he was never going to come back here. That was a pride thing. He was never going to come back. Jerry had to give him a grandkid. and maybe partially ownership of the team. That was I want it all. Like, I'm going to be my own pitching coach. I'm bringing my cousin to catch for me. I think there was a little bit of pride there. But I'm talking about originally when he didn't get an offer, when he didn't get the qualifying offer, when they said, no, you're not even good enough for the qualifying offer, buddy.
I got that though. Because
again, it was a lot of
with
money.
his tenure and the injuries, he just didn't prove it.
Yeah. He was always hurt when he was the White. But again, like with Giolito, and again, I know that he is better than Davis Martin. He's proven himself to be better than Davis Martin. But like, it's not like you're trading Cease right now with a huge upside. Like, Giolito's upside is the years are not as many as Davis Martin's years will be there. So I think that's why they're considering it. But again, I personally understand why Grifol did it to win that game. He didn't want to risk it. Maybe it was later in the year he would have done it. And again, regardless of what happened today, I still think no-hitters are overrated.
Wow.
Because it's still one win. It's one win. You don't get two wins. You still get one win. And the point of winning the game is one win. That's why individual stats are great for fantasy baseball and for guys getting paid. If your best player went 5 for 5 and your team lost, it's pointless. It's irrelevant. Your job is to win games. That's what champions do. And I learned that in Atlanta. I learned that in Atlanta.
I learned that in Atlanta. On the mound. I want everybody dumping Gatorade on each other.
Hopefully they don't get hurt. Vaughn almost hurt Benintendi. By the way, again, you want to have they should have waited to, like, you want to have that one moment of like greatness. Like right now, the TA home run in the cornfield. If you look at the video and the way they put that highlight, you think that the season ended that day and that we went to the playoffs.
Amber waves of grace.
They got beat the next 2 games. They lost the series. The Yankees laughed at them. It's like when they showed the home run from Carlton Fisk in Boston doing this. The next day, the big red machine went and whooped them. But history doesn't tell you that. I really
don't like where this show is going.
I'm just saying, though, at this point with the White Sox, they're at a point where winning has to be more important than individual.
Is winning important in the White Sox clubhouse right now?
It should be. Why else are they there? You didn't sign Jose Abreu because you wanted to win more games.
It should be, but
it is for Pedro Grifol. It is for Pedro Grifol. You don't think, dude, whatever people think of Pedro Grifol, you don't have the manhood to get up on stage in a press conference and tell people you're going to kick their ass, and you don't think winning's important. Trust me, you don't go up there and say, I'm going to kick somebody's butt.
I'm not arguing that.
The players, I think there's players on the roster that don't think winning as serious as that.
That's my question.
I think there's players on the roster today that winning might be second to their performance, second to a lot of things.
Second to their paycheck?
Yes.
So, like, let's just say walking out of that South Side Tunnel on 35th Street, is there a big gap from walking out of the tunnel, let's just say, in the Bronx or Busch Stadium or
what year though?
Racine?
Again, what year? That is when you talk about Brooks Boyer does not build culture. Okay, what Pedro Grifol, his statement, again, people just took it the wrong way because it was very boisterous. But instead of him saying that, that's what he needs to build out every single time. When you take the field, you're taking the field to win. That's how you win 90 plus games. Like you should be celebrating that you took a series. Like we just took a series from the bad teams. We just took you literally enjoy, and you don't number one, you don't lose series at home. You defend home. Like this is your home. Like no one's going to come in here and take series from us at home. You're going to go on the road and say, we just whooped you in your own house. Okay. Yeah. You have to have that. And you guys asked me like why I enjoy the the Guardians so much is because I know guys in that clubhouse that hate the White Sox, that they enjoy whooping on the White Sox at home. They enjoy fans booing them. I think that's what the attitude that they need to have. I think the White Sox are like the Mets. They don't care. Like think. I'm just being serious. Like
no, I agree with you.
Again, like they don't deliver. And
I agree. And
that's the aura. That's the aura of a winning culture team where your paycheck is great, but winning becomes so important to you in the frontal. You guys are going to get paid. Okay, people don't realize this. Guys get paid regardless. Your check comes in every 2 weeks. Some guys more than others. But if you make winning important, okay, if you make winning the key matter, you enjoy more when you're going to the stadium and you start getting those wins because it's fun being there. And then when you care about winning and you don't win, that's when it gets miserable because guys are fighting each other. Guys are calling each other out. That's what it means. You can't just go through the motions. You got to make winning a priority. Not your manager say it, or your pitching coach, or your marketing department, or your fans saying we're the best team in the American League. There's a lot of talking. It's about going and delivering as a team. That's the problem. There's a lot of Chris Sale was a great pitcher when he was here. You've had, Jose Abreu had an amazing career here. Tim Anderson has put up numbers, batting titles, and been one of the best shortstops in the American. That's all individual accomplishments. What have you done as a team? That's what counts.
Well, you really just ruined my fucking day with this no hitter ain't important. Let's go to another tweet that actually blew my day. Gonzo, MLB executive Burner, told me that White Sox bullpen ERA is 7.7 despite heavy investments within the group. The group is making over $40 million in 2023 alone. Organizationally, the White Sox are a mess. This young hype core never materialized, including my boy, Yohan Moncada, into stars. On the position side, their window never really opened. How do you stomach that, Gonzo?
The hardest part about that is, unfortunately, Liam Hendricks has every right not to be it, with the team at the moment with dealing non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. But when you take his contract off of that, it's still crazy to think that the other 7 guys have 30-something million, and you gave Joe Kelly $7 million this year, and you have to baby him when he is here with us. So, and then you make that trade for Diekman. You got Diekman's contract down there. You have a lot of bad contracts coming off the books soon, though, in 2024. But you given this money, we were just talking about the contracts that you're eating up. You need to perform, and there's no accountability yet. Junior, have you seen any accountability with
no? Well, maybe inside the clubhouse. No, he hasn't ripped anybody yet. And again, people's feelings now. You can't rip players. Joe Kelly's a great writer. Joe Kelly, I think when he got the contract, it was a little bit what he did in the past, not what his future looked like. Horrible signing. Again, my take, because he hasn't been able to perform because, like I say, he's always injured. I think when you sign, I thought that when they signed Liam, okay, you bought an elite closer, that they were not going to go and spend that much money for the other middle of the road guys, that you were going to try to fix it within internally, that you were going to try to make Ronaldo Lopez that guy, a Crochet. You had the pieces. And when you're looking at this right now, again, when he comes back, probably the second best pitcher out of that bullpen, probably the 2 best pitchers out of that bullpen are homegrown, Ronaldo Lopez and Crochet. Let's imagine that Santos becomes that next guy that does well. Bullpens are something that you can rebuild every year. I've never been a fan of signing bullpen guys to long-term deals unless you're the one elite guy, because then when you have a lot of pitchers that way, they tend to regress a lot. It happens a lot within the bullpens. So the fact that you went and you spent all this money to be able to fix the bullpen situation, and now you're losing game because of the bullpen. And let me be straight. The bullpen has never been good. Okay. Since Bummer and these guys got here, they might have 1 or 2 good games. The bullpen has never been elite where you're 2 years ago, we got bullpen of the year. If you take Liam and you say, Liam, get him out. Okay. And then you take Ronaldo Lopez's last year and some of the year before, and you look at those guys' numbers throughout, the whole
trash. It's trash.
Bad. It's 500 baseball. So people always give credit to Ozzie 05 and the fact that 05 team and they had hitters and was how good that bullpen was. And when you look at the names, you didn't have guys making, $20 million. I'm just saying it was guys that were good, but they were there for a job and they kind of build it out. So you can look at every World Series team that makes it. Houston's done it over and over again, even Tampa, where you can refresh guys, and that comes into the development. It's really hard to develop frontline starters because everyone's looking for them. But I think as an organization, you should always be able to develop really good bullpen guys that can come in and stop and then you might trade or sign a big time closer or a big time name, a guy that's more established. But I think that's a really, really big knock on Rick Hahn in the front office, because you're looking at the team that spend the least amount of money on a bullpen and you're worse than them, that's got to hurt. It really does. I think that hurts more than Moncada. I think that hurts more than the Eloy signing, more than the Pantera signing. I think that as a whole, that one hurts a lot. And again, that's not even including the guys that have left, okay, that have left the bullpen. Because in that bullpen money, you got to throw in Cubs guy.
Kimbrel.
Yeah.
Because you let him go.
He pitched against us today. Really good.
Yeah, he did. And then a couple years ago, you had the Kelvin Herrera situation.
I'm gonna be sick.
I'm just saying though, there's a pattern to signing bad bullpen guys. Colomé, they let him go, and then he went and had a great. The bullpen situation has not been the greatest for the White Sox compared to other places. So I think it's probably one of the biggest concerns, because if we've seen this, a 3-run lead is not a big enough lead for the Sox, and the offense can come back. They've been down 4 or 5 runs, and they'll come back. It's up to the bullpens. Even that Baltimore game, the Baltimore team gave up 4 runs because they should have been swept. The Orioles should have won that game. They gave it back to the White Sox. The White Sox bullpen kept giving it back. They did 3 times. So I think the bullpen has its own concerns.
And 2 of your relief pitchers are in your top 10 players on contracts. Graveman at 8, and then Bummer at about $4 million.
And if those guys were pitching well, which that's what they should root for, you can move Graveman for a big piece, because he would be a guy that if he's pitching well, you get moved. And then the worst part is you went and traded Diekman last year. I don't know why. I didn't know much about Diekman, but I didn't think that it wasn't a move for like a middle of the road guy that you're like, man, this guy has a lot of potential to. Somebody trades for Ronaldo Lopez this year for the White Sox, and he potentially could be the next closer. I didn't really understand the Diekman trade, because I'm like, what? Why is he here?
Like, I feel like if you're gonna go get a lefty, you should have gone. I mean, I know they're in your division, but Detroit with Soto, that's a lefty I would want.
Get a good lefty. Just because you're a lefty does not mean that you're an effective one. But I'm just saying, I didn't get
both
why
Soto
Diekman.
and Alvarado on the Phillies were
Correct.
traded for.
Yes.
And
Okay. If you bring Alvarado, like if you went and made a move like that, you're like, oh, like I'll give you an example. People don't remember this. Jose Contreras gets moved in the middle of the year. Jose Vizcaíno gets traded from the Sox there. Those are pitchers that you're like, oh, why did they make that move? And then you're like, oh, that's why. Guys that came in and really had an effect in the years that came later. I didn't really like the Diekman move then, and I don't like it now.
And to be honest, like last August before Crochet, right away, Hahn said last August that he plans on Crochet being in the starting rotation. This was before he had a setback on his recovery. So if that was his plan to build him into the rotation, then you would want to go get another solid lefty, like the point that we're making here. Yeah. But now that I feel at this time that you should not have that strategy for Crochet, you should keep him in the pen, because you got a guy in Noah Schultz here coming up in the system that very well could be one of your top arms in the
Birmingham Project.
The Birmingham Project. But and another point here, when Crochet comes back, another thing you got to consider here is for the fact that when Liam and Crochet come back, you're not going to be pounding innings of them right away. You're going to be building their stamina up. So you need someone else in this pen to be, on a trend here, eating up innings so that you can get everyone strong at the same time. Because the very last thing you want to do is have these guys have setbacks and they're coming up, in Liam or Crochet.
Gonzo, quick question. So what's the plan on bringing back Crochet to be a starter? How's that going to work?
So originally,
is he going to just say one day, hi, I'm a starter? Or is he going to be like a short 3-inning starter?
No, I think you would put like what they did with Kopech last year. You put him on an innings limit, like 90 or whatever, and you build his arm up.
So if he comes back this year, you go like 60 innings, and then the year after that, you kind of put him. So you use the season after that to kind of take Giolito's spot and build from there,
yeah.
And then okay.
Because originally, Ozzy, before they signed Clevenger, the only pitcher for 24 that was on the books is Cease because Lynn has an option, a player option.
They're not gonna pick it up probably.
So you only got one guy
basically
in your rotation, so you can include him in there to build him up.
That makes sense. So. By the way, just wanted to let Dragon Rider know that the Clippers took that nice L. So
wow,
your money just with my money. By the way, the Clippers, the Chicago White Sox of the NBA.
Damn. So who's the Russell Westbrook of the Chicago White Sox?
Oh man. No, I can't say TA because TA actually delivers Jaime Moncada. I'm not gonna lie.
Wow.
But an older version of again, it gets to a point where he's my boy. I can only defend him so much of like why you need to have like a real injury. Like you being out, it gives you such a bad look. Like already people think that you're lazy and all this. So that's why I'm concerned of and even if he wanted him to get himself, like if he wanted to get traded or if he wanted to like, it's just not a helpful situation. So that's where I think that a guy like him, you don't want to give fans a real reason. Like the guys like Ken Woe of like being able to rip you, because if you play every day, you're like, okay, well, this guy plays it, which was why I always used to get mad when they used to hate on Larry. It's like, dude, he's at least going out there every day. We don't have anybody else. So that again, if Sevi Sabala goes 0 for 4, I'm like, the guy plays once a week. Like, what do you expect of him? Like the guy gets a hit, that's a positive. He never plays. So again, what you need to be in the lineup to be healthy. But this whole by the way, we need to put this in the parking lot on the pitching situation, because the point that Gonzo just said that they only have one pitcher.
Sorry, 2. Kopech 2.
That 2 and 1.5.
Yeah,
1.5. That's concerning.
Yeah,
that's concerning.
Because originally, before the setback, it would have been nice, like because if you're Hahn, you're hoping that Kopech made that jump that Cease did from 21 to 22 for this year, from 22 to
that's
23.
A huge jump. Maybe if he even makes half of that jump, it'd be good.
Yeah, but still, like you would hope that going into 24, your rotation would be Cease, Kopech, Crochet, and then you can put some big money as a
Cease,
setup guy behind
Crochet,
Cease.
Quintana. Oh, I can see that.
Quintana, but like those
Quintana?
3, if you got those 3 in your rotation, and then you can focus on putting your bigger money into whoever the free agent pitchers
big money.
are.
No. You're gonna get Quintana. An Odorsey that he signed already. You're gonna get like Quintana, the veteran.
But remember, Junior, what I said. They have 130 million, and that is if you don't pick up Lance Lynn. Because if you
so they have 130
if you don't
million
pick up,
to spend.
If you don't, well, they have 130 on the books. So if you don't take the option for Lynn, there goes 18 million. So you're down to like 115ish, 110ish around there.
That's still pretty high. I don't think Bossy Jerry is gonna want to go up too much on that.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting what they do at the time with those
Marcus
2 spots in
Stroman
rotation.
to the White Sox in a second contract.
All right,
I'm just saying. By the way, we got to put it in the parking lot. We need to literally look at this seriously and make a list of potential pitchers. I'm being serious, guy. By the way,
no, we will. We got plenty of time.
I know, but I'm saying they need to start considering. Here, this is the thing. What if they do with this? I don't know what you call it, the restructure. If they're really going to do the restructure and they trade pieces, potential starting pitching for the future is probably their main focus, and a catcher.
But now you have to realize I have to look at the contract of Clevenger, because I'm not sure if he has an option.
It's a 2-year deal.
Is it?
There's
no
gets
player
an option, but
option?
Only if they get to play Gold Digger before the games. I think that's the only.
Let me look at 24 here.
You know what's funny that I didn't realize how big of the story that was going to actually be.
Yeah, you have a $12 million mutual option for him. So,
by the way, he's been a great pickup. I think Rick Hahn's best move have actually been ones that he has not tried. The Cueto and the Clevenger move have actually, if they pan out the way that they're going, they're probably 2 of his top moves as a general manager.
And it's crazy because 670 to score don't even care about Clevenger's performance.
Well, I wouldn't go. Okay, hold on. I wouldn't go all 670 to score. I would say one show doesn't care about his performances.
Okay.
One show is 100% against him. And if you guys saw the tweet from the Guillen page that I made where I gave Lawrence Holmes props.
Yeah.
Because Lawrence Holmes is in there asking those questions. No one on that show is in the clubhouse asking him those questions about the gold digger. Like if I have a problem with you and your song, I'm going to go to the stadium that day because they're credentialed. And I'm going to say, Clevenger, I have an issue with you, blah, 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 blah. And I would ask the question myself. I wouldn't let another beat writer do it. Like if I'm gonna go and make a story of it and make it like a focus on my show, I would go in and ask him that question myself. I wouldn't make one of the beat writers beat writers write about baseball, man. But I wouldn't make one of the beat writers talk about it. I'd go and ask the question myself. If that's like if I'm building a story around that, I wouldn't just grab somebody else's. Like if I had that big of a problem with it, I would go there and like even with Ozzy, like because Ozzy had to deal with it. Ozzy would say something stupid, and then like guys at the time with like Mariotti and other shows, they would talk about it, but they were not there to ask Ozzy the question how they felt about it. Yeah. They would just send like another minion that would get yelled at. They wouldn't go do it themselves. Like guys respect more if you ask the question and yourself and say, hey, I don't like you, you don't like me, but I'm going to ask you the questions. I think players respect that more. And I think that gives you more credibility than you just going out there and have an opinion about it and make it a huge story, because they literally every time he does that, it revolves about that. And I think that the way that he is pitching, Clevenger's mechanics they just look horrendous because if you have to the naked eye, but if you do a comparison of like what he was like when he was healthy, and I know that he's battled injuries, he's looked really good. Like it looks a lot similar to what the Clevenger that was in Cleveland and the guy that was in San Diego. So I think that if he keeps progressing on how he's doing, he could have a solid year. And Gonzo's the pitching guru, so I want to take Gonzo's take on Clevenger and what he's seen so far. I think he's looked amazing. And not physically.
Wait, time out.
Best.
Does Clevenger pitch tomorrow?
Yeah.
So here, Gonzo, how about this? Instead of talking about his daily bullshit, let's get into White Sox Daily and dive in to Big Mike. Okay, Gonzo. So we've watched Lucas and Lance Lynn splinter a twin bill tonight. We got Big Mike on the bump tomorrow to go salvage a series.
That sounds sexual, by the way.
Yeah.
Can you say Big Mike? Can you say Big Mike? Is that okay?
Big Mike.
Is that okay, though? I'm just saying, is that okay? Or are we going to get shut down for saying the word Big Mike about Mike Clevenger?
Big Mike. Large Mike. He's got the ball tomorrow, Gonzo. What you looking forward to?
Yeah, I think last week I was talking about Clevenger, and we're really hoping for him being healthy, because the last time he was healthy in 2019, he was pretty solid. And if he continues this, let's just say, is a better year than Giolito, you got an absolute steal going into next year with him at $12 million, a guy that you can count on middle to back end of your rotation. So now that we have the game 3 of the series tomorrow with Clevenger on the mound, he's going to go up against, I got to look here to see. I know it's Walker, but I haven't seen the kid pitch before. What's his name?
Not Tijuana Walker? How do you mean you don't know Tijuana Walker?
It's
Taijuan Walker?
Taijuan Walker's pitching tomorrow. The great Mexican pitcher.
Okay. Yeah.
Tijuana Walker?
Tijuana Walker. The White Sox are in trouble mañana. You don't know about Tijuana Walker? Oh, the White Sox
His days back in Arizona. He's 1-1, 4.2 ERA. Not bad. His whip is high, but that's okay. I think the Sox are gonna take this game tomorrow. I think they're gonna finally win a series, Junior.
Yeah,
I sure hope so. You would hope that would happen.
So.
It's like at one point, it's like at what point will you win it? Like if they go the whole month of April without winning a series, we're Houston, we got a problem, and it's not really Houston. So
I didn't realize that was T1.
I got your problem right here.
TJ. So I like the fact that tomorrow is when you're looking at like who's going for the White Sox other than Dylan Cease. Again, you can't today's Giolito's performance today was really good. So you can't, in hindsight, who would you want to be out there? But you're one of your best pitchers after Cease, meaning the most consistent this year, is taking the mound. Matt Clevenger, the over, okay, the strikeouts is at 4.5 at minus 160.
I'm going
so
over.
That's what I'm saying, though. So I think that BetMGM, who I'm looking at their, please send us a sponsorship and we'll keep using you, BetMGM. But BetMGM, that's a very low number at a, you're paying juice at minus 160. Their under is only 4.5. So they obviously think that he is going to go over on the strikeouts. And then when you look at pitcher hits allowed, it's under, again, 4.5 is on there. And then the earned runs for Clevenger, you got the under at 2.5 at only minus 110, which is, the odds are great. And then the outs, they got him at 16.5, which is like plus 5 innings. So the books, which I look at. Yes, I look at the books because they have great algorithms. It says, everything says.
I look at the books.
Yeah, it says White Sox. Again, the books tell me White Sox. You're pitching one of the most consistent guys in the White Sox. I think Clevenger, as everyone hates him, I always believe that there's guys that get fueled up. Okay, I'll give you guys. Don't compare the players. Okay, because one's a Hall of Famer, one's not. I saw Chipper Jones was going probably through a really bad divorce. Okay. He was going through a really bad divorce. It was very public. And he would literally show up at the stadium like 15 minutes before because he was just in court. And he only addressed the media one time. And that was like when he had his MVP season because he focused all of his rage and stuff into the fact that he was going through all this stuff outside his life. But baseball was like the one thing that he can control. I think that for Clevenger, there's so much negative stuff outside of his life where people might not like him, people might like him, that I think that the place that he feels the most comfortable in is in a uniform and on the mound. And I think that we've seen that in the last 2 starts. And knowing Clevenger, the fact that he picked that as a song to come out, he's basically telling the fans a big F you. And the only way that he can keep backing that up and making other shows talk about him when they said they were going to ban him and people giving him praises and whatnot is him pitching well. Because had he had a bad start and he was 0-2 with a 20 ERA, if he would have been done, everyone would be so happy. So I think that's giving him extra fuel already, prove himself even more. So I think he's got a lot riding on every start that he is literally locked in mentally. So I think that when you're locked in mentally, it gives you the best chance as a pitcher. And I really think the White Sox offense, again, all due respect to Mr. Tijuana Walker, White Sox offense might put up a 6 on him.
No, mames.
I just
think they keep calling him Tijuana Walker.
I'm just saying that I think he's a good pitcher, but I think the White Sox offense is actually swinging the bat well. So I think that all the odds are that the White Sox should win. And if they lose, it's not going to be because of Clevenger.
Let's finish this weekly bet on this game, on this matchup, because they actually favor the Phillies here in this game, and the over/under's at 8.5. Rightfully so, I feel like. What do you think? What do you think, Ozzy? You think they're gonna Sox in the over?
I would take the Sox in the over.
Yeah.
But again, this is one of those bets where you curse your family out, curse the baseball gods, because if they don't win, again, you're going against all the odds are saying that you should win this series. You're at home. You just came from a one-hitter, basically. Your offense looked great. Berger's crushing the ball.
You have the best player in MLB history in Jake Berger.
Jake Berger's he is playing like he was one of the best players of MLB history. Like you're riding a hot hand. So the fact that if you lose this game, this is a game I might stay away from betting because I might just get really pissed if I lose because this game is it should be a White Sox guarantee in the over. They should put a 6 spot easily.
A guaranteed win at guaranteed rate.
Yeah, in the over, I really do. I think that the offense should go out and explode, and the Phillies might score, but I don't think that they're going to out hit them. So I think that the over and the White Sox, I really do, on this one game, and they win their first series. If they don't, I would be saying that I don't think that they will win tomorrow. I'd be going against all of my educated guessing, and if they don't, man, whew,
yeah,
that's no bueno.
And that will lead us to the rest of the week. The Sox go on the road Friday through Sunday. They go to Tampa Bay, who just got beat 2 out of 3 versus Toronto, so they're kind of close
And they
off a
just
little
lost
bit.
their best starter, or the second best starter,
Yeah,
to Jeffrey
and that's
Springs,
what.
to TJ.
Yeah, I was getting
No,
to that
not
because
Tijuana Walker. Tommy.
Jeffrey Spriggs is not going to be facing us. However, Friday we brought up Kopech. Kopech's going to be starting off the series. We don't know who he's going to go up against yet, but it's looking like Saturday it's going to be Sleece and McClanahan. That's going to be one hell of a show. Hopefully we can get see some help versus the lefty because that's a dangerous lefty, but I think that's going to be one hell of a showdown. And then Sunday, they don't have a projected starter for Tampa, but it's going to be Lance Lynn
versus El Bullpeno. They might go Tampa style. Might have a mascot come out and throw.
Bring up probably Scott Kazmir or Casey Fossum.
Back for the day. You know what? I'm not a big fan of Tampa because everybody's obsessed with them, how they do other stuff analytical. If I want a team that the White Sox to pounce on, it is Tampa.
Me too.
Because with this little run that they went on, everybody's like, our team should only spend $50 million and beat Tampa. It's like, no, you can't beat Tampa. Don't try to beat Tampa. Like, that doesn't work. They have 0 rings. Don't beat Tampa.
Right.
They have an ugly stadium. They don't want to spend. They just take money from other baseball teams and invest in cheap. Like, Tampa is Oakland with better players. It's like, it's not a good fit. But that's why I like beating up on Tampa. So I really hope that the White Sox, and again, I don't see Tampa winning 100 games, so they're going to have to lose to somebody. Why not be the White Sox? And again, I had the White Sox at 500, and I want to be sure that my predictions are always right. And right now, I think that they're playing under their performance. So I need them to get back to 500. They're not going to win the division, but I need them to get back to 500.
Okay.
I'm just saying, that's where I had them.
So
they're going to be competing. They're going to be competing for it, but they need to be at 500 to win 83. What do we have them at? 82 plus wins?
Y'all got them. It fluctuates from 82 to the max out at 86. I got them at 88, but I'm a homer, so my opinion doesn't count.
I had them at 89. So
Gonzo's a homer too.
Gonzo might have to go to a meeting. 89 again. Unless it gets so hot. Last year, this is a number that I look at.
Have him drive you to your meeting, Gonzo.
Last year, I'll be a sponsor. Last year, 81 games, okay, with half of the roster basically just checked out, like hurt mentally. Like, they won 81 games. Like, the fact that they won 81 games, they brought in Miguel Cairo. It was like, Southpaw was out there. They won 81 games. Okay, so this team does not win 81 games. There's some people that should say, you know what, I resigned from my job. I'm gonna own it. I need to basically not have this job because 81 games last year. If you can't meet that at least by 3 games, at least we got a problem.
Let me ask you guys this. So, us as a collective, we expect the White Sox to make that climb back towards 500. Starting with whooping Tampa Bay's ass, the best offense in the league, while we have the most inconsistent starting pitching in MLB history right now. That's where we're at as White Sox fans.
It is, but I'm just saying it because I don't like Tampa. So I will bet the White Sox every single day because, again, we're going to get great. I just don't like Tampa. I don't like anything about them.
Do you hate Tampa the way I hate the Tribe?
Probably, but they're not even in our division. I understand why you hate the Tribe. They're in your division. I just don't like Tampa. I just think that they're like a mythical unicorn that there's an anomaly that people think that it works and every fan base wants. There's fans out there that are White Sox fans that want the White Sox to go the Tampa route. No. That they think that that's the solution. And I don't think that. So that's where I disagree on that. So a whooping on Tampa would be nice.
Do you think Andrew Vaughn hits his first home run tomorrow?
Andrew Vaughn will not hit his first home run till May.
Damn. We still got 10 games left?
I don't think Andrew goes deep till May.
That's sick.
And then in May, again, he could still have a good, by the way, he could still have a good 10 days. He can hit doubles.
I think he's gonna have a 40 double season, but come on, G. He gonna give me one before the month.
Who's gonna go deep first? Vaughn or Abreu?
Varney.
They're both at 0.
be.
We got that first base watch, right? We were all worried about that. Burger's got like 5. And everybody took every bet. Everybody took everyone except Burger. And Jake's going to win this.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out who had Burger as the pick to click, Gonzo.
We ain't getting to that yet.
Thank God.
No, but I'm saying like again, I think that Bonds might have a home run drought in April, but he's gonna pick it up later. But I don't think he
To
hits
be honest though, like Abreu always had a cold start in the spring until
what was the excuse that he played outdoors? Houston's closed, by the way. It's a dome stadium. It's a dome stadium.
He's got about 20 plus more at bats, and he's got 5 less ribbies.
By the way, he's not going to hit 30. Abreu wasn't going to hit 30. He's going to hit it up the middle. He's on that Miguel Cabrera approach now.
But I actually believe Sox will lose 2 of 3 on the road here, and not going to be anywhere near my projection of 89 likely. But
man, what is this, Gonzo?
I'm sorry, but like,
Gonzo's a smart dude. He doesn't want to go out there and sound like a lunatic. He's doing the math.
Yeah, I know how our struggles are on the road, especially in Tampa Bay. Like, for whatever reason, we haven't been good in Tampa Bay, even when his dad was a manager.
The Vinoy pool.
Yeah,
the
I don't know what the curse.
I think the sun.
I
had a great time. I had a great time in Tampa, actually. Every time that I went there.
Yeah, you probably had a lot of hangovers and.
Oh, a lot of hangovers. I wasn't playing though. I wasn't playing.
Right. You were just translating.
I was just translating. But it wasn't a lot of
very
good.
Well.
I wasn't a very good. It wasn't a lot of very good games when I was translating in Tampa. There's 2 places I don't think the Sox play well. I had 3 places in those years, and I think now Oakland, never a good road trip. Yeah. Tampa, horrible. And then I don't know why they play horrible in that dump of a stadium in Kansas City.
You think Kaufman's a dump?
I think everything in Kansas City is not good.
Wow.
But just to wrap it up.
Even the quarterback?
No, relax.
We're not playing. That's talking NFL.
We're not even going there yet.
We're not even going to go. That's the NFL. Well, I'm talking about the city, and I'm talking about the team. By the way, they suck, and they have 2 World Series rings, one more than the White Sox.
Yeah.
That hurts.
I don't want to even talk about the Chiefs right now. So Kopech on Friday, I think he will be solid. Not solid. I think he'll probably be good. He'll have a good start. But I think the bullpen's going to give it up in that first game. I feel Cease versus McClanahan. I have a feeling that Sox are going to bang up on McClanahan. And Cease is going to have a really solid outing and get the W.
He's due for an ass whooping. I just traded him from my fantasy league.
And then I think they're going to beat up on Lynn on Sunday. So I think it'll be Rays 2 out of 3. Randy Arozarena is batting .313, 4 home runs, 18 ribbies.
What about Josh Lowe too? Josh Lowe's having a good start to this season too.
Josh Lowe as well. So they got some. I'm not really scared of anybody on that lineup, but
yeah, I think Wander Franco too. Gonzo is a guy that kind of fucking scares me. OJ, you got anybody in that Tampa Bay uni that gives you the willies? No.
Nobody, man. Randy Arozarena. No. How can they not get that guy out?
You're sick. The man
I am sick.
He'd be finding ways to get on base.
That's what I'm saying, though. Like, I don't. If I was a general manager, I have a hard time when Tampa kicks my butt. I really do. I just don't. I don't know what they do. I'll put it this much. My only concern is Kopech better have his tipping situation under control, because I bet Tampa has video on Kopech going to the bathroom. They've probably viewed every single video on him pitching since he was in high school, and have had 7,000 meetings about it. So he better have his tipping situation under control, because they jump on things like that. So that's going to be key. I think that I don't know why Pedro has not used the running game. They were running all over the place in spring training. The season starts, he runs game 1, runs game 2, and then it's like
the team fell apart though.
But you keep running, keep going. Who cares? Have them thrown out. Like, I think those Sox are a better team when they get going. Hit and run, put the runners in motion, get something going. Like, put the pressure on them. Like, we're waiting for the big boppers to come through. There is no big boppers. Like, we need to put hit and runs. And again, you can do a lot of guys, like even for Burger, like Get guys on, get them moving. They did that with Houston so well, which was a team that pretty much has the best catcher in the league when it comes to defensive catching and throwing. Now we can't do it with the players that we currently have. I don't get that. So I think that he needs to play that game with Tampa of like just not sit and wait. I think he needs to be aggressive.
Yeah.
And then on Monday, the Sox are still on the road, and they start off in Toronto. It's going to be Gio versus Bassett. Bassett's been on a rough string lately. So maybe we have a shot there to start on the right foot in Toronto. What do you guys feel in that series with Gio starting it off versus Bassett?
What's the over on that, baby?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, to be honest with you, I like our odds.
Again, with Toronto?
Yep.
I'm more worried about the Toronto series, I think.
I haven't seen any odds yet posted for it.
I'm saying I'm more worried about the Toronto series than I am Tampa.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because you got to think about it too, Don.
They're in Canada.
Like, Bo Bichette and Vlad are good enough hitters to where they can beat you without a home run. Like, if they need a sacrifice fly, they're going to give it to you.
And they want to beat Charlie.
They want to shove it right up his ass.
One of the main reasons he's not there. By the way, did you guys know that the Toronto Blue Jays is the fattest team in baseball?
Well, with Manoah and
per player, not just because of certain guys, per player's weight in the average, they are the biggest. They're the heavysettest. They're the biggest team in MLB.
Yeah, I just have a feeling Bassett's gonna shove in this game.
We went from White Sox Daily to fat shaming the American.
I'm just saying, by the way, we're dropping stats. I dropped a stat. It's a fact. I'm not fat shaming anybody. That's just how it is. They eat more than other teams.
What's the Blue Jays cholesterol looking like?
I don't know. They didn't. The stat that I looked at did not tell me about cholesterol, but I am not fat shaming anybody. I am literally sharing a stat that was shared from all those random stats that they have about their weight.
How did we get here?
I'm just saying I'm more worried about that Philadelphia. I'm more worried about that Toronto series than I am about Tampa. But again, don't listen to me. I don't like Tampa. Again, I don't give them the credit that they're due. They're the hottest. They're the best hitting team. I'm just like, I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't see it either. And Chapman's the guy to watch out for them batting .410, 4 home runs, 16 ribbies. Matt Chapman's off to a hot start to go with Vlad. So,
and he's a notoriously slow starter too, Gonzo.
Yeah, he is.
So for him to start the season with his hair on fire, that's somebody you got to be careful with. Power to all fields, good athlete, could take an extra bag. Like he's a low key 5-tool player that people don't talk about. I like Matt Chapman's game.
Yeah. So to wrap it up, we have the Sox winning the series tomorrow, and then losing the series in Tampa, and starting off rough on the road to wrap this up. Not the week that we were hoping for.
What's up? So we only get one game in Toronto that we're counting, right, for this week?
Yeah.
Just the Monday.
Just the Monday.
Yeah, because let me look at Tuesday. Actually, hold up. Tuesday is it's a night start. So, yeah, it'll just be the Monday that will count.
So we're doing 5, 6, 7 games, and we're looking at the record to be 3-4. So right about 500. Like right under 500. And that would put them, they're currently 7-11. Doing math like a little kid. And that would give them a record of
10-15?
No, 9. No, 10. 10-15.
Yeah, I don't like the sound of that. No. I feel like
that's 5. That's 5 games out of 500. And by the way, that is Gonzo giving you the victory in Tampa. That's us having them win 2 out of 3 in Tampa.
Yeah, I don't like that. How about we just say the White Sox are going to go 6-1?
Yeah, I don't think that's very educational.
Fuck!
Just hope that Cleveland keeps playing as horrible as they have, and that Minnesota basically.
I don't gotta hope for that. No. That's a given. They're trash.
Okay.
They're actually worse than the Red Sox right now. Can you imagine Gonzo? Like, I could respect dropping a doubleheader to the Phillies. I couldn't imagine dropping a twin bill to the Tigers. Can't.
That one hurt.
No.
Can't.
And Jay, that leads us to our picks to click.
Yeah, let's get it.
And folks, this is our weekly pick to click segment. Last week we had a guy on the DL who shot out the name Jake Berger, and we all laughed at him. But Dad Power took the week. He went 4 for 12 before today's doubleheader. He was 4 for 12, 3 home runs, 5 ribbies. Jake Berger was the pick to click. He got the dub. And Slav is on the board. So the standings right now is Junior's got 1 victory. I've got a victory, and Slav has a victory. So that's 3 people in the win column. And Justin is still fishing for his first victory of the season. We'll see if he can do that this week, but we're all tied up at 1. And the picks to click segment begins this week. And our man Slav, who is not with us again, but he will be soon. Slav is going with the guy with a herniated disc and Yasmani Grandal. He didn't pick Sebi. I was kind of hoping for Sebi, but he's going.
You gotta play. You gotta play to get big.
He's going with Yasmani Grandal as his pick to click for this week. Who, I mean, he didn't have the greatest week this past week. So let's see if Yaz turns it up here tomorrow and the rest of the week so Slav can take a lead. That's an interesting pick. But Junior, you're up next. It'll go Junior, Jay, then me.
You know what? I think that it's going to be a week where a power might not win it for you. In this past 2 games that he has played, actually, he's been on fire pretty much. I'm going to go with Andrew Benintendi. 2 hits, 1 hit in the past week. I think that he can carry that over, get himself some walks. His daddy, Pedro, needs to put him to move and steal some bases. I'm scared because the power situation with him is not one that he's going to hit a lot of home runs, but I think that he might go deep in this series. I'm going to go with Andrew Benintendi. Greatest White Sox player to ever get paid.
Which, hold up, Justin, before you go, I want to say that earlier in the show, I think it was Spencer, actually. Yeah, I got it right here. He said this team liked power and they signed Benny. Now, let's just set the facts here because I see a lot of things on Twitter with people are expecting a lot out of Benny, mostly because of slugging because they want power. Like that, but there's more to slug than power. Mm-hmm. We didn't sign him for power. We signed him for extra base hits in his defense. And the contract you got him for was pretty hefty of a contract for $15 million. That's not a lot. So the fact that if he gives you that, the extra base hits in the defense, I'll take that every day because he's your best outfielder defensively at the moment, and that's a guy at top of the order that's doing the job. I think he's batting 270-ish right now, and he's getting on base. So you need to get power elsewhere in your lineup. It's not going to be from him, I'll tell you that right now. But we're seeing that with Berger, so we need to see more of the power from Eloy and my boy Vaughn and Yaz and Robert. Robert is tied with Berger right now, but we need to see more of that. And I'm just not expecting it from our boy Benintendi. But I don't need it. I just need him to get on base so we can drive in those runs and steal bases. That's all I need from Benintendi. So go ahead, Justin.
Well, I too am going the Andrew route, but I'm picking a better Andrew. I'm going with Opie. Now, OJ, you fucked up big time because you tried to put the kibosh on my boy Vaughnie and said he's not going deep until May. Let me tell you something. You know who's gonna fuck the Tampa Bay Rays over? Opie. He's gonna do a job, inside out swings, moving guys over, getting them in, not sacrificing. He will sacrifice his personal agenda for the betterment of the team. That's how you beat a team like Tampa. You got to play baseball, and Opie is a baseball player, and I think he gets me and the White Sox off the schneid this weekend. We going Opie.
And that leaves me with the last pick. And I am going to go with, hi, Mom. I'm going to go with Eloy. What's up?
Is he back by that time?
He's already back.
Oh, he hasn't done anything.
He just hasn't done anything. So I'm
hoping he's 0 for 7 with 12 strikes.
I just hope he heats up.
He better hope he sends a message to his mom. Right now, he's momless. He's an orphan. He's an orphan right now. He's an orphan.
I was going with either Robert or Eloy, but both of them are kind of in a slump right now. So I'm hoping that Eloy gets heated up on the road because we need that bat to get going. And that wraps.
I just can't wait till Robert goes back to who's Robert. If he keeps struggling, he's gonna say, "You know what? I just want to be called Luis Robert again." Luis Roberto.
So to wrap it up, chat. Slav is going Grandal. Junior is going to go with Benny. And Jay is going Vaughn. And I am going Eloy. Is there any other wraps or things you guys want to point out for these matchups this week that we might have missed at all?
No, the only thing that I look at is that with this rate that they're going at in the month of April, if they go 5-6 or 6-5, that still puts them 3 games under 500. So unless they really go on a streak here, it could be an ugly April. This April can look for them at 11 and 18 if they don't start winning some series, and that's 7 games under 500. So I'm going to be honest with you, the way that we broke it today, we're looking at the series. Tomorrow's game becomes that bigger of a deal because if they don't win the series tomorrow, okay, with Clevy on the mound, the Tampa series is analytically probably going to go to Tampa, meaning when you're looking at the teams, then the Toronto series should go to Toronto again on paper, and then they play Tampa again. So unless you split, but if Tampa takes that, it takes you all the way to April. That means that you potentially could go 3 more series without winning one. So that would not let you win one in the month of April, which has to be a club record. So tomorrow's game, it becomes that much bigger to set the tone.
Because it doesn't get much easier at the end of the month.
It doesn't get much easier. And again, you got Clevenger, 2 great starts. I don't want to bet it. But now, guys, I think I might ride hard. Just check the tweet. I might ride the White Sox hard tomorrow, which I don't know if it's going to be a good thing or a bad thing.
Pause.
But yeah, I'm just scared. I'm scared if I bet them that they're just going to lose because I bet them. But tomorrow's game becomes that big. I know that you can't win a division in April, but you could definitely lose one, or not lose it, but make it really hard on yourself. Being 7 games is a lot of ground to cover, and you have to get really, really hot. And I know it gets easier in other months, but this game becomes a lot bigger just so they can get that first series under their belt and get that monkey off their shoulder and kind of build from there. Baby steps.
And I would definitely mirror that statement because I would say what you want about the next 2 weeks on the road and that series going home versus Tampa and Toronto. But when you go into May, you got to see if you can make up that ground, because if you continue to go down that stretch and lose games in May, you're very well starting to retool and you're trading all your, majority of your assets that you don't see here in the future, and you're going to be retooling for 24. And the names that you'll probably be trading could be TA, could be Eloy.
Don't say.
I know we're going to be Some people will be saying Cease. I get it for value wise, but that you'd have to gut me to death right now for me to want to give up Cease at all, because I still want him even for retooling, because you need a top arm if you really want to go where the expectations are. But we'll get there. Right now, we're not there. Right now, we got to see. You're not going to decide what this team is and what are we, 7, 11, 18 games into the season. We need to see where we're at in 60 games, see where this team is at, see if Grifol has really changed the culture by that time with the sample that we have a quarter of the season in. We'll see where we're at. Right now, it's tough to really decide on a lot of things. You see this offense hot and cold, and you have a lot of injuries in the bullpen right now with holding leads. It's hard to hold a lead when you got guys, when you're important pitching, your better arms are off right now with Crochet and Liam. You got Grifol managing that staff with guys that he's unaware of. So yeah, we'll see where this team goes in the next couple of weeks here, but we'll see a lot here in the young rookie manager and what he has in this team. But with that is our episode 7, and this is Justin Lee, Isaac Ian Jr., me, myself, everybody. Let's go White Sox and go Dad Power. That is all, folks.
Papa, can you give me the moon?